Welcome back. It's Cold Digest Wednesday, and I'm joined now by a Labour Party stalwart. It's actually the Secretary of the Labour Party in Lagos, FEMI ONOFE. Thank you very much for finding time to come today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's start from some very interesting stories coming up now. We'll start with the integrity nature that has characterized the incoming administration. As a matter of fact, the president-elect talked about the fact that he wouldn't employ the service of anyone in his cabinet who has a case to answer with law enforcement agencies. However, the man who heads the committee, the transition committee for the APC, the former governor of Bayelsa State, has a trial presently in court. As a matter of fact, a federal high court in Abuja yesterday could not hold, and that case was rescheduled yet again. He's been prosecuted by the EFCC for allegedly stealing 19.2 billion naira while in office between 2007 and 2011. I understand that a man is considered innocent until he's charged otherwise. But then, how do we justify the promises of the APC at this time?
My first shot is that I've told as many people that are close to me that I'm not enthusiastic about this whole thing. I'm not in the euphoria of this whole mantra called change, because I see a man who is surrounded by characters who represent so many things that we know. I live in Lagos, and I can relate, and I can tell my story of my experience of the quality of governance in Lagos. I'm not one of those excited people who talk about the roads and the bridges. I'm talking about the people. For me, it's the people that are paramount. You build bridges, who are you building the bridges for? Who are you building the highways for? If the people don't have a life, then your bridges and your highways don't make any meaning. In Lagos, do we have a life as a people? I was driving, and a radio presenter, was passing a joke. He said, in Lagos, if you escape VIO, you may not escape LASMA. If you escape LASMA, you may not escape the other one they call Kai. If you escape Kai, and you know, there are booby traps, you leave home, you are not too sure you're going to get back home because you may wind up in prison. And that's the kind of quality of governance that I deal with in Lagos. That's for me, locally. And then, now to talk about the presidency. The man who has won the election made so many promises. He said so many, I think, and I told those who were very close to me that this man was talking too much. He made promises that he didn't bother himself to find out. Does Nigeria have the economic wherewithal to support the promises that he was making? With the kind of quality of governance that we run, we are not running a capitalism, we are running an extreme roguery. It's a policy is a style of governance that allows for so much acquisition of wealth. The only thing we throw around in this country, we don't throw integrity, we don't throw good name, we throw wealth. We throw so much money, people who have money that are untouchables. So people go into office to steal, and it's been like that for God knows how long. And so when he made his promises, I just wondered. And thank God for the guest you had just before I came in here. He was talking about the plummeting price of oil. It will continue to go down. It's not because of reasons that we can lay our fingers on, but because the truth is that the whole world is passing through an economic crisis. America is struggling to find how to generate its energy supply from within. Russia, that has so much to sell, is finding out that they have nobody to sell to. And so they're also thinking. And so the whole world is thinking. Oil is being found everywhere in Nigeria, everywhere in Africa. And so here we are, saddled with the only source of our revenue is oil. The price is plummeting. So anybody who is talking about paying anybody over 65 a certain amount of money every month. You are going to pay every graduate a certain amount of money every month. You are going to build bridges. You are going to build roads. You are going to do this. You are going to give lunch every day in school. You are going to give free education in the midst of all of that. And I was asking myself, does this man know anything about the economy of this country?
Since you touched on the economy already, the 2015 budget that was passed recently by the Senate talks about 2.6 trillion recurrent expenditure, and then we have a capital expenditure of just 556.9 billion naira. I don't see the incoming administration survive that. What do you foresee at this time? It's
regrettable, but it's our reality. The thing is, government is struggling so very hard to sustain high institutions. So for now, infrastructures and structural development are not pivotal in the consciousness of governance. And to pretend to the contrary is a lie. You can roll out a budget and say you are going to spend 85% of your budget on this and all of that. It is at the end of the day We are going to take a look at the performance of that budget and ask ourselves, have you been able to meet your marks? And we know, time and again, in the past 5-6 years, it's not been the case. And so that they have truthfully come out and say, well, we are going to have to manage the structure of government. But these are the little we can do. Because the minister was precise. He said, Nigerians must be ready for bed tightening. And that is a fact. Our incomes are dwindling. And it is not the fault, because I've tried to tell people that it's not about whether it was Jonathan or whether you are going to have a Buhari. It's the kind of political structure we run. We run a capitalism that is not tolerable to even the true capitalists. And unfortunately for us, you cannot run a capitalism without capital. We don't even have capital, and we are running a capitalism. So it's laughable, and so we are caught in a vicious circle. And then you have another man who is, that I tell people, it's just going to be a ceremonial handover of power. And then the fact is that those who used to steal money are going to change faces. You are going to see new fellows come on board.
Are you being pessimistic
I'm
about
I'm just being realistic.
administration?
I'm just being realistic. And I like to live a real life. That's why I will not be disappointed. If after 4 years Nigerians are championing and calling for the removal of the president, I won't be disappointed. I won't be surprised. Because I don't see where the magic is going. Unless they are going to borrow and land us like Greece. They can borrow from everywhere, and then at the end of the day, we are not able to pay in our lifetime. It's the only way they can sustain all of this that they have said.
What about the school of thought that for the first time in our political history, we have a man who intends to govern, who for a while has had this vision of leading Nigeria, unlike the accidental leadership that we've had in time past? Doesn't that make him quite prepared enough for the challenges ahead?
I want to re-emphasize my statement. Before I was here, and I said that of the lot of people who were contesting for the presidency, the only person that came out with a blueprint, that put in the book form and said, this is what I want to do with Nigeria. Till today, let anybody prove me wrong, it's Atiku Abubakar. He's not the president today. General Buhari never told us what he wanted to do with Nigeria. And that is why you see confusion. The president is saying one thing, his party is saying another. He says, look, these are the kind of people that I want to run my government. And where is he going to bring them from? From these people that are hanging around him. He can't pick 5 ministers in this country who don't have a case in court from his party. I challenge you. Whether a major or a minor case, they all have issues. And if he truly wants to deal with corruption, by the time he's done 4 years or even 2 years down the road, he will have nobody serving as a minister in his government.
Let's take a commercial break now. When we come back, we'll find out what senators are also saying at the floor of the Senate. We showed you earlier, just probably might play it yet again to find out their position on the recently passed 2015 budget. Stick around, don't go away.
It is often said that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. But what about the things in life that actually inspire us to believe? Like the things that drive us, the things that move us, and even the things that remind us that the sky really isn't our limit. Because when we are inspired, we are led to future greatness. But first, we just have to believe.
One day I want to build Nigeria's first aeroplane.
I know. One day you'll make us proud.
Rich and creamy pig, extra fortified with 28 vitamins and minerals. Here's to 60 years of nourishing dreams and inspiring the future. The future is bright. Reach for your peak.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then news. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.
To authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 4,493,363,992 957,158 naira only.
This year, subsidy has not been brought into this expenditure. We have not seen it, and we did not provide for it too. There should be a provision of that, even if it is not to the extent of that amount that we used to provide for. It could be overly. How would I put it? In itself, it could be the amount that we used to provide might be too much for that particular oil subsidy. But I believe even if it is 20 billion naira, there is a need for us to look into that subsidy.
My take is, it's not the type of budget and the quantum of money that is there, but how you are able to cap corruption, block leakages, stop people thieving, that matters.
It's natural that when you have a government that is coming midstream to succeeding administrations.
First of all, I believe this is the worst budget we ever passed. Being that it's about less than 20% is the total amount for the capital project.
The dependence on oil has always been a major problem. It has been identified, but I think that this is the time to take very pragmatic steps to diversify the economy. A new government is coming into place. I believe that this is one of the agenda that Nigerians are living at their doorstep, and we hope that they rise up to the challenge.
They have to come up with a strategy on how to surmount the challenge. Is quite unrealistic. We have recurrent expenditure of 2.6 trillion, and we have a capital expenditure of 500. It's appalling. I mean, I just refuse to do the calculation. The ratio is not like anything we've had before.
Members of the Nigerian Senate there sharing their opinion about the just past 2015 budget. It looks as if in the passage of the bill, of the budget, there's a provision for supplementary budget already. Do you see that coming?
Of course, it has to come. There are no ways around it. See, when he said they had not made provision for petroleum subsidy, and the reason we have the scarcity we have now is nothing else apart from the fact that the marketers are saying, look, we want our subsidy, difference is paid. And I think Buhari should be ready for that. Because anybody that thinks that's why I really pity him. He's coming into governance at such a time where they have managed to lift the hope of Nigerians. We were okay with our hopelessness. Matter of fact, we are taking our eyes off government and try to find ways to earn a living. But now they have lifted our hope. And that's why I pity him. Because having lifted our hope, he has a responsibility to ensure that that hope is sustained. And on the social structure that I see, on the political structure that I see, on the economic structure that is realistic to us, it's absolutely impossible.
You think it's an impossible mission?
He has said he has no magic wand. That he has no capacity to do magic. That's an admittance of the reality that is confronting him, that is does not have the capacity to deal with it. For all I care, if that is where we are starting from, then the reality is that we should all begin to deal with our expectations. We must not begin to sit down at home and say, well, we are just again on a jolly ride. Because I told the Lord, anybody that asks me, I say, look, I don't know what one chance is, but after people, it looks like we're on a one chance.
The dictatorial tendency of the president-elect is another major issue of discourse on the social media, especially aftermath of the AIT experience, where that particular media station was barred from covering the president-elect activities. Of course, APC came out yesterday to say that there is no plan whatsoever to discriminate against any media, and even categorically says that AIT can cover whatever activity it is the president-elect is doing at this time. But what's your reaction to that development?
Sheikh Garba, that made the remark on behalf of the president-elect, is a member of his kitchen cabinet. And throughout the campaigns, he spoke for General Buhari. And so if the APC says, well, he was on his own, he was talking for himself, he wasn't, and then that's to ask ourselves, are we really are we going to have a government? If the party is saying something apart from what the principal is saying, then we have issues to deal with. But if what the principal is saying is what is real, because as far as I'm concerned, having won the elections, he's automatically the leader of the APC. And if his position is that, look, I'm going to deal with certain media houses, and then we better be on our guards, which is to say some of us have to be mindful of the things we say outside of our homes, because I do not know. I just discovered that microphones and television cameras can also be very dangerous weapons. I do not know, maybe my glasses may also be very dangerous weapons, or maybe my tongue. So we may just have to be a little bit mindful while we watch the body language, but we have always known. I was here. And the last time I was here, I said, I grew up in this country. I had the opportunity of being around when Buhari was a military head of state. We had our experiences. We still live with some of the memories of our experiences. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a replay, because, you know, there are certain things about a man you can't change.
But will it be safe to assume that Sheil Garba's comments were a reflection of the intention of the president-elect, considering the position that AIT also took prior to the election? Might just be some emotional outburst from a particular individual, not necessarily a representation of the will or the intention of the president-elect. Have you considered that possibility?
I'm sorry, sir. If we can play back all of the videos, all the advertorials that the AIT played preceding the elections, I challenge Buhari to challenge any of those ones and say they were not true about him. The proper thing to do is to go to court and seek redress and say, these things you said about me are not wholesome, they are not true, they are damaging on my person and my integrity, and then you get the court to make a pronouncement. It's not to threaten or harass anybody. And General Buhari has not done that, because he knows most of those materials are true about him, and I stand to say so. I was alive and I saw those things manifest. And so let's not pretend about those realities. They were with us. And so if you want to scare us so we don't speak our minds freely for the next 4 years, fine, go ahead and do that. I mean, for me, that's the signal. That's what we are being told. Be mindful what we say in the next 4 years, because we are back in power. And we will watch.
Well, there are a lot of diplomatic challenges as we speak now. We've heard what happened with South Africa when news came up that the Nigerian government withdrew its envoys. Of course, there are also lots of talks of illegal migrants dying in the Mediterranean Sea. Recently, Indonesia also killed 4 Nigerians in, you know, a firing squad amongst 7 who were they've been in prison for a while for, you know, bringing drugs into the country. What are your thoughts, especially now that Nigeria is also going through a transition? What do you expect from this incoming administration?
First, there's so much confusion in governance. One thing comes out of Aso Rock, the following day another person is saying something else. There's so much confusion in governance. I don't blame anybody for all of that. People are carrying over their, do I call it the jet lag of elections and all of that. And so, you know, are not really appropriately able to put their fingers on so many things. And so because governance right now is very fluid. But that's not to excuse the actions of South African, especially the South African authorities. Whatever they did was an afterthought. Because all this, bringing the police to the streets, because people were being killed in the bare face and the bare presence of members of the South African police force. And not one of them lifted their finger. They watched, they even laughed. For them it was entertaining. And then it's when the world began to cry out that South Africans are now, for me, that's an afterthought. And I think the Nigerian government should have taken immediate action immediately began to happen. But we waited too long, like we always wait too long. We want to be the big brother to everybody, and yet everybody sees us as undeserving of the respect of being a big brother. And here we are, in the case of Indonesia, look, let me be sincere here. Any man who decides to take drug to another man's country, knowing that the consequences of it is death, and he goes ahead to do it, should be ready to stand up and take the consequences. I do not subscribe to capital punishment. I do not believe. I think that the human life is too important to be wasted on any excuse. So whoever has decided to take the life of another because it is convenient for you, well, I leave him to himself and his conscience.
But is it also safe for a nation, you know, to just totally distance itself because its citizens have been caught doing wrong? For instance, the Australian government withdrew its ambassador, given reasons that these people have been in prisons for years, and many of them repented of their actions. You know, they probably would have believed more in reformation and rehabilitation of such prisoners. Even at the center of international pleas from the UN, Amnesty International, Indonesia still went ahead. Is it safe for Nigeria as a nation to keep quiet at this time?
There's also a phase that is emerging in international politics. Nations are beginning to look at international communities and dead them. And it's all over the place. Russia dead us. Russia dead the world and overran Ukraine. And people grumbled and did whatever. And Russia is there in Ukraine. Iran dead the world. And they are going ahead. And you see, in Palestine, the Israelis did whatever they wanted to do. And nobody could do anything about it. And so Indonesia has done whatever they feel like doing in spite of, yes, I would not say Nigeria abdicated. I had some terrible experience while I was outside of these shores. I actually would not want to mention the embassy. I had some issues on the streets, and I went back to my embassy, expecting some kind of assistance. To start with, for starters, I entered the place, there was nobody on duty. I went back home, I came back 3 days after. And when I met the fellow, the way he dismissively attended to me, I knew I was on my own. And that's almost the experience of every Nigerian everywhere else across the globe. But if we was awakened to the reality of being able to address some of these things, it's not going to happen by the instance of an individual intervention. It's how do we value the Nigerian life? Because day to day, this is a country where we see corpses on the street, we walk past like nope, nothing is wrong. This is a country where a medical doctor sees somebody fainted and collapsed on the street and he drives past because the person is not in this hospital. This is a country where you take a man who is at the point of dying into a public hospital and they say unless you do certain things and pay certain deposits, he's not going to get treated. This is a country where you run to with gun injuries and they say unless you get police extract, he's not going to get first aid. So what kind of value do we place on? That's why I said my first argument was don't build me roads, build me lives. What quality of education are we bequeathing? Because we don't have value for the human lives. What kind of healthcare do we have? Our leaders run abroad every day for medical care. They don't care about the real Nigeria. And so when another Nigerian gets killed abroad and they begin to make noise, I wonder why do they make noise? Because the Nigerians that are with you don't even care whether they exist or die anyway.
But are you baffled about the continued outflux of Nigerians outside the shores of the country, especially now that we have a skyrocket case of illegal migrants, these days?
You know what? We talk about massive immigration when the children of the poor are crossing the Mediterranean and going overseas. The truth is, how many of our leaders have their children living in Nigeria? They have houses overseas, their children are living overseas, and they come to strut whatever they are able to acquire. Today, it's almost the model to have somebody who speaks with a foreign accent as a leader on NASA. So wherever you go,
they even ask you that you have to have schooled outside
of this country
to get that kind of a job. It's
so
amazing.
The reality is that we are challenged. The children of the poor see this happening, and they are challenged to also want to enhance their lives by going overseas. If nothing else, acquire the accent and maybe get a diploma and come back home and say, okay, I'm suitable for this job. And it's our daily reality. And but so long as we continue to pretend that it does not exist, then it's going to continue to stare us in the face. It's not about those who are dying on the Mediterranean. It's about those who are living with us. What do we do about the Nigerian? I challenge you. I live in Ikorodu, for crying out loud. I challenge you, take a drive from my 12. Between my 12 and K2, you see the number of humans who are completely forsaken by states, completely abandoned by the nation, who are absolutely on their own. And they sit down there, they beg in the rains, they beg in the sun, they beg in the morning, they beg in the night. And we just look the other way. And then we want to parade how many houses we have built, how many bridges we have built. We call it commissioning, a ceremony. People go with drums and they are dancing and they are jubilating. I'm even beginning to wonder, because I used to think Nigerians are very intelligent. But I'm beginning to challenge. I want to talk to people. I want to find out what is wrong with us. Why is it that we cannot think as a people? Can't we deal with ourselves and deal with issues that confront us on a daily basis? Don't we see the poor going hungry? Don't we see people losing their homes? Can't we see the whole world is clamoring for a change in their status and in their lives? What are we doing concerning our plight?
When we come back after this break, I would love to also ask you what you see this incoming administration doing differently. I understand your pessimism, which you have called being realistic. But then, just in case you're invited to, school them and give them some sort of advice, what is really your own solution to all of these marriage challenges? We'll take a break now, and we'll be back with more. Don't go away.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical, women being so powerful yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on Core TV News.
It is often said that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. But what about the things in life that actually inspire us to believe? Like the things that drive us, the things that move us, and even the things that remind us that the sky really isn't our limit. Because when we are inspired, we are led to future greatness. But first, we just have to believe.
One day I want to build Nigeria's first aeroplane.
I know. One day you'll make us proud.
Rich and creamy pig, extra fortified with 28 vitamins and minerals. Here's to 60 years of nourishing dreams and inspiring the future. The future is bright. Reach for your peak.
Welcome back, Core Digest Wednesday, and we're just about rounding up now. I want to hear your thoughts about what you expect that this new administration, do differently to bring a change.
If General Buhari would only give Nigeria a brand new constitution that recognizes that there are problems with the social structure, in 4 years, if that's his only achievement, he would have done Nigeria a great deal of good. But if he wants to dabble into everything and try to do it all in 4 years, he's going to achieve nothing. He's going to leave office worse off than he entered. The problem with this country is not about our decaying highway. They will continue to decay. It's not about the state of our infrastructure. It's not the state. It's not a matter. It's not a matter. People also do not understand why there is corruption. It's not just corruption by itself. It's not just standing on its own. If we continue to practice what we pretend to call capitalism, and then people continue to steal, because the truth is, there were years when somebody was waiting to retire from work because he knew there was going to be a life after retirement. In the year 2015, anybody going out of service knows there is no life after service. So they steal and heap up preparatory for when they are thrown out of work because their pensions will not be paid. That's what I said. We have no value for the human life. So the first thing to do is to put the superstructure for actually fledging nationhood. That is the only way to go. If he pretends about it, let him. They can go ahead and have their jamboree. We'll sit back and watch. But we know that the only way to go is to start by putting up that super social structure on which Nigeria as a nation can stand. I cannot understand why building the street to my house should be contracted to a man who is coming from Italy or from India or from China. In India, rural women build roads to their rural dwellings. How do they do it? Why do they do it? There's something that is, like I said, there's something that is wrong with our intellect.
But when you talk about the new constitution, are you in any way referring to the just concluded national conference?
No, please. You see, when I talk about a new constitution, I'm trying very hard not to use certain words that a lot of people are going to look at me and say, oh, he's one of those crazy people. I'm not just looking at, because what Jonathan tried to do fantastic. But the thing is that he was also scared of doing certain things that a man of courage would be able to do. Look, what we have here, because this country has tried welfareism as a national policy, we have tried to a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. We are afraid of being socialist or being branded a socialist nation by the capitalist America, by the capitalist United Kingdom, and so we are scared of taking our identity, but our realities cannot support a capitalist system. So the only thing he can do for us, if he really is interested in this country, is to delve into all of that and take away this pretense. Let's deal with ourselves as we are, as a nation that is about to grow, that wants to achieve its full potentials, so that our children can have hope in our society, and so that they can grow to become somebody no matter where they are coming from.
FEMI, ONOFE, thank you very much for finding time to join us on the show today. I've been speaking with the Secretary of Labour Party, Lagos. Thank you for coming. We hope that you also find time to join us subsequently to discuss these issues ahead and over. And that wraps it on Core Digest today. We'll be back, God willing, tomorrow with another exciting edition as we follow through, counting down to May 29, and of course talking about those promises made by the incoming administration, how they intend to fulfill them. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.